For a more immersive experience, I recommend you wear headphones for this podcast. Episode 11, Looking Back. Hey listeners, it's me, and it's June. It's cicada buzz and warm, wet asphalt, and the kind of humidity that makes my hair poof out trying to give the illusion that I'm a foot taller than I am. It's bright colors, and it's cheer, and it's chest out marching, and being proud, and living loudly, and safety in numbers, and love. And it's rage, and it's grief of things lost, stolen from us, experiences we never got to have. It's scraped knees and hearts, and it's get up anyway, and stand in the sun. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting in the sun today. I hung up some of that privacy window cling stuff, and the sun is throwing itself through the refractive cover, filling every corner of my room with splashes of rainbow, and I'm on the floor. It's warm, a square of blinding white light, throwing colors across my bare legs. I won't go this year. I've never gone. I wouldn't really dare to go now. Too small, too lost. No hand to hold me through it. And, besides, I don't think I belong there yet. But I belong here, in the frame of the sun, heating my skin. I can see the blue veins in my hands, and I finger the faded fabric I was given a few years ago. I didn't totally understand it, even though he explained what it meant. I don't know if I understand it now, and I wonder if these are my colors. If I have to have colors. Is it okay to still be a little lost? I don't look in the mirror and see anyone yet. But it is becoming clearer, like a Polaroid, brightening up with a picture underneath. That haze that you have no idea what you'll find when it's fully developed. I'm holding my breath. One day, maybe I'll see myself clearly, and I'll be able to shine the way the others do. The way he did. Not today. But someday. I inhale and I get up. Bare feet on the floor. I step outside my door and feel the burn of the concrete, the sharp edge of asphalt on the soles of my feet. I close my eyes and all I see is blinding orange and red. The slight breeze ruffles the tiny invisible hairs on my arm and gives me a tingly sensation all over, and I think, maybe one day I want a motorcycle. And the thought swoops my heart into my throat, like the swell of music making your soul sing at the height of its power, and I think it's the closest I'd ever get to flying. The feeling makes me feel alive. I pull Sonny's door open with a loud creak, and I flop into the velvety red seat. I know it's crazy, but I love the way a car feels when it's been sitting in the sun, and you slip inside the warm oven of the driver's seat, when everything is almost a bit too hot to touch. I'm wearing an oversized shirt that touches the hem of my shorts. My feet are bare, and I shut the door and pull on the seatbelt and feel the weird sensation of the pedals on the pads of my feet. It makes me feel connected. Sonny and I are one. I don't think it's legal to drive like this, or safe, dear listener, So I implore you to just live your bad choices through me. I pull out of the drive and I push an old mixtape into the slot with a slide and a click. Listen to the mechanisms flip it to side B and crank it up as I speed shift into a higher gear, foot on the accelerator as the guitar riff starts rattling through the old speakers. T-tops are down, and the wind is blowing through me, and I can smell rainier on the breeze. And the music sends me soaring down the old highway, pounding through me in a rhythm with my very existence. And yes, I am alive, dear listener, so very alive. And for a little while, rushes of green blurred beside me, I feel like my skin is on fire, and it's in a good way. The loneliness is somewhere in my rearview mirror, too sluggish and slow to catch up, and I am free. I get back, swinging maybe a little too fast into the drive, and park in front of my little house, and practically fall out of the door. My face hurts from grinning, and my eyes burn from the wind, and Sam is looking at me from the slab of concrete that pretends to be a sidewalk in front of the gas co, arms crossed with a disapproving frown. But I can tell by his dancing brows that he's amused. He's changing out the cling advertisements that cover the windows, peeling them off in a satisfying strip and hanging new ones up, carefully pushing out the bubbles between them and the glass with an ice scraper, and it's making the most horrible noise. And I notice he's added one of those little rainbow flags in the corner of the door where the credit card symbols are that says, "Everyone is welcome here." And we've never talked about it, but I feel my heart swell up a little. We make brief eye contact, and a moment of awkward creeps in. And in his Sam way, he breaks it. "No shoes, no service," he says, and I laugh. "What's in the box?" he wonders, gesturing to the pink box in my arms. I look down at it. "Cake," I say. He blinks. "Cake? Is it someone's birthday?" And I smile and nod. Today is special. He's 18, so I wanted to get a real cake. And I thought I could share it, you know? And I pause, 'cause I realize I'm talking too much. "Just to celebrate this summer," I finish, and I smile, and he nods, and I know he knows what I'm saying. This is a summer days cake. I don't offer that I've been buying a cupcake every year my whole life. He does not ask for the he I am talking about. Hell, he probably has some idea if he kept up on the news a few years back. He sends a text to everyone who isn't working today, and in we go, and I breathe a sigh of relief, because today I'm not alone. I'm with my family. Sunny days and birthday cakes aside, there's one thing that I know for sure. Despite happy afternoons, the lonely nights at the counter will creep back in eventually. I wonder if the others have ever noticed that no matter how beautiful and bright a rare cloudless day might be around here, the dense woods across the old highway from the turnout of the gas co never brighten. They remain dark, deep greens and jewel-toned shimmering shadows. Beautiful, maybe, in that Pacific Northwest way that makes passerby and out-of-towners stop and take photos. Ominous to me. Now that's not to say all the woods in the PNW are ominous, of course not. There's much beauty and peaceful serenity to be found in the foothills of Rainier. It's just here. I never set foot in these woods. I wouldn't be caught alive in there. There's a picnic table there at the turnout across the road. It's usually empty, run down and decrepit. Overgrown weeds and moss-covered planks, chunks of broken asphalt, and sometimes I see a man sitting there. It's far enough away that I can never tell where he's looking. There's no car, and I'm not sure what direction he's come from or where he's going. It's very, very rare that I see him, but sometimes I can tell that he's looking at the gas co. His sockets are deep, shadowed, empty-looking. That's all I can remember, and I wonder what it is that he sees. or if he sees anything at all. Anyway, it was just after my quote unquote birthday party that I saw him again, leaning sideways like a scarecrow, black, hollow eyes staring at nothing. The sun was still out, and it reminded me of when I was a little kid and I would see people in places they didn't seem to belong. That was slightly before the nightmares started. I head home and I unlock my door and push it open. Cool air hitting me in the face, the smell of Jeb's tea, tobacco, and my shampoo mixing in my nose as I shut the door behind me and I pull the blackout curtains. It's bedtime before my shift. I push the thoughts of the man out of my head as I climb between slightly chilly sheets and lay back in the pitch blackness. I shift around. It's hard to get comfortable when you're a little bit busty on top. Lying on my side doesn't work, and on my back makes me feel like I'm suffocating. My boobs are trying to kill me, I guess. The eternal struggle. And I find myself wishing for the 4,000th time that I was flat chested so I could lay on my stomach or be able to roll over without having to adjust. And it takes a while. It always does, but finally, I fall asleep. Forests, trees, rising toward the deep purple sky like the bars of a prison. My palms and my knees are scraped. My feet are bare and bloody. My dress is torn, and I'm wearing an oversized tee over the top of it. It's worn through with holes, was once black, but now a soft, deep gray, faded and comfortable. You always knew I hated the dresses. The angry sky is churning like an ocean, and there's noise all around, deafening, like 10,000 helicopters. But there's not another soul in sight, and I'm lost again. I sigh. This happens a lot. It's actually kind of frustrating. It's a dream I can't win at, and that I can't escape. Even if I wake up, I'll fall asleep and be right back here in the apocalyptic woods. I can see the movement behind the trees. The wolves are here. I should run, but I'm used to it by now, so I sit on a rock and cover my knees with my dress and I wait. Running brings me right back where I started, and to be perfectly frank, listener, I'm tired of running. I know what happens next. I count down under my breath. 3, 2, 1. And I jump. Why is it that sounds that happen where they aren't supposed to happen are always the most startling, even when I expect it? You're not supposed to hear a phone ringing in the middle of a dark wood during a supernatural dream storm. I get up and walk. Branches snap under my feet, but I can't feel it. I emerge in a clearing. Tall black trees all around an illuminated phone booth. It rings again. I don't want to answer it. I know what will happen if I do. What happens every time I do. So it keeps ringing. And there's hail falling, slamming into the ground around me while miraculously avoiding my tiny frame. Thunder and lightning is flashing, and the trees are cracking and tearing apart, and I'm not answering. It goes on and on. My subconscious is filled with everlasting patience, while I, unfortunately, am not. 500 years later, the dinosaurs have come and gone. I've loved and grown old and died and found myself here again. Civilization has ended and restarted thrice, and finally, I pick up the receiver. And it's warm, like someone's just been using it. I don't raise it to my ear. I can hear the tiny voice telling me that someone has called me collect. I slam my fingers down on the hanger, ending the call, and all the sound around me stops abruptly, like a live concert where the entire stadium suddenly goes quiet, hushed. The silence holds its breath, and I do something that I've never done before. I dial a number my fingers have memorized, and I hold the receiver up to my cheek, and my heart is fluttering against my chest like it's pinned alive to a board. The other end rings, and rings again, and one more time. There's a click, an answer cutting the final ring in half. My heart stops. I can't breathe. I feel like someone's sitting on me. There's the tiniest intake of breath on the other end, the start of a question, but it's barely the eighth of an H sound. And I'm awake, lying in my own sweat, flat on my back and suffocated by my own chest. And before I can formulate a thought, my alarm goes off. 'Cause ain't that just the way? I don't have time to cry. It's 10:25 at night, so I take a shower, stuff my absurd chest into 2 sports bras to try and wrangle it, throw on my uniform, shake my hair out while blinking my contacts in, lace up my shoes, and trot across the parking lot to the gas co. And on the way, listener, I kid you not, there's a payphone sitting on the edge of the lot that I've never seen before. And I think, surely I'm just a non-observant teenager, and that thing has always been there. Surely I haven't lost my mind. I pinch myself, 'cause what else am I supposed to do? I told you already, the dream just resumes whenever I wake up and try to go back to sleep, but I don't think that I'm asleep. This story isn't that cliché. I want to walk over to it, to put my hand on it, to see if it's real or not, but it's like my feet know better than my mind does, and I keep walking, jerking my eyes and my head to the front and marching right into the gas co. Don't look back. Never look back. So I'm definitely not looking. The hours tick by, and I'm doing everything in my power to stare straight ahead of me and not out of the front pane windows covered in squares of the backs of posters advertising cola and a 2-for-1 hot dog deal. Who thought it was a good idea to make gas stations half out of glass? But at the same time, I'm keeping it in the corner of my eye. The dim, yellow illumination from inside its paneled box, taller than it is wide, is not hard to notice on the edge of the lot. Why does that type of light, middle of the night light, always look filmy or dirty? Like if you step into this space, you'd find yourself covered in a layer of oily dust that smells like musty tobacco. It tugs at my brain in an uncomfortable way, but I refuse to turn my head. If there's one thing that I am, it is stubborn. I hide in the back office for a while, but I can still feel it, pulling at me, begging me to peek out the door, cross the parking lot, and stand in front of it. Rusted metal and spiderweb glass, and I think I'm going to go crazy. I lay my head on the desk, cool wood against my damp forehead, and I clasp my hands behind the back of my head, knocking my hat off, and I lay like that, eyes squeezed shut for about 5 minutes. And then I find myself getting angry, because why am I letting an inanimate object get this far beneath my skin? I push out from the desk and walk back to the main lobby of the Gasco and almost jump out of my skin. There's a man standing in the window, and I can't help but turn my head to stare at him, outline wavering like a badly filmed movie, artifacting in the air around him, flickers and static and overlapping colors I can't name. His face is weathered, deep cavernous lines pulling down his features, white stubble pricking out beneath bent nose and lips, age spots blotting up his papery textured skin. His eyes are deep set, unseen, vacantly staring past me. Cataracts or caustic scars, or maybe just the way ghosts look. I can focus on him in the moment, but if you ask me, I couldn't tell you his age or what he's wearing. I couldn't tell you his race, or if he's tall or short, round or thin. I can't focus on that. It's like all I can see is the weatheredness of him, like a plastic toy left in the woods long ago. Faded color and cracked surface. Ancient. And I can see the sickly illumination of the phone booth standing somewhere behind him like an obelisk, its eerie light contained within its walls, flickering like a firefly. I've never seen a firefly, but my friend used to pull up videos on the library computer and show me the slow moving pictures of lazy pops of illumination floating above the grass. And I realize I haven't blinked in over a minute, eyes wide and dry as sandpaper. I wrench them back to the man, and I have a fleeting moment of awareness that he is the same man I see on the bench on occasion across the highway. I'm standing frozen, my feet unable to wrench free from the tile holding me in place, and that's when his sightless eyes find mine, and that's when he starts banging on the glass. And I've never felt fear like this before, dear listener. A dread bubbling up inside me, a live snake coiling in my stomach and spreading through my veins, screaming at me to run, hide in the office, fly from the back door into the dark and into my car and onto the highway and never ever look back, and I can't move. Even the night I almost drowned, even the 100 bugs on the windows, even trapped inside my car, feeling like I would never see daylight again. I've never felt this kind of fear before. That's not true. Something in the back of my mind, a tiny voice beneath the buzzing whispers, "You've been here before," even if it was a different kind of fear. The sharp smell of metal in your nose, the stains on your nightgown that never washed out, the intake of breath, and the cut off sound of a single word hanging in the air, unfinished, lost. And while the world is on pause, and I'm thinking about that night, the worst night of my life, worse than this, worse than when my parents kicked me out in a raging fury, thinking about it now, in this moment, it jerks the ground out from under me and unsticks my feet. And suddenly, I regain my body, and I run to the back office. And I slam the door, lock it, and huddle under the desk. I can still hear the banging on the glass continue, and it goes on for what feels like hours, louder, rhythmic, and I think I need to call Sam. And I pull out my phone and I see there's no signal. I drop it, and it skids across the floor, and the glass splits and spiderwebs across the screen. My breath hitches, and I reach out from under the desk and I grab the landline. It's cold in my hand. Old enough to still have a coiled cord connecting the handset to the phone, and I pull it to my ear, and there's nothing, no dial tone, nothing at all. Someone cut the lines, and the lights flick off. Every electronic in the room powers down with a gentle buzz until silence envelopes me besides the dull, rhythmic thud of the man pounding his fists on the window. Someone cut the power, and I'm starting to think the ghost in the front of the store might not be my biggest problem. Time stretches endlessly, and then I hear a familiar sound, the unmistakable low groan of a slow-moving engine, water-clogged with mold and moss and green lake, tires that squeal a bit as the old chassis rounds the corner, and the sound of rattling idling, a living beast made of machine and metal breathing carbon monoxide just on the other side of the wall. I can hear the crunch of gravel as it rounds the corner towards the front of the store, and it sends shivers down my limbs, and the knocking stops abruptly. I cover my ears with my hands, and I squeeze my eyes shut, crouched in a fetal position on my knees on the floor. No phone call for help. a sliver of flickering light coming in from beneath the door jamb. I need to call Sam. My mind returns to the payphone in the parking lot, and I almost throw up thinking about it. But the flickering lights beneath the door are rhythmic, and somehow it comforts me, and I stand up. Every muscle is screaming in protest, and it's cold. My breath is coming out in icy puffs, and I slip towards the door and unlock it and push it open. The dank greenish lights flicker in the front panes of the gas station, lighting it up, off, on, off, on, and I can hear the faint sound of music playing. The radio is on in the Volvo, and it's playing I Want to Dance with Somebody, and I freeze, 'cause I have a fleeting memory of having the worst prom of my life, running away from it all, and spending the rest of the night in the parking lot with the Dotson's doors open and the stereo cranked, playing this song while we danced barefoot and drank vodka and orange juice and laugh. And I have no idea if it's coincidence or how the Volvo would know my secret things, but it's giving me what I need. And I unlock the door, and I wrench it open, and I race across the parking lot full tilt, synth keyboard filling my ears, and I'm short, but I'm fast, and I slam into the phone booth. Its eerie, dirty light is still working, and my fingers peel away the layers of moss and gunk, and I pull open the door and grab the receiver, and there's dial tone, and it's the best sound I've ever heard. And I have no coins, so I dial collect, and I huddle on the floor with the receiver to my chest, heaving and letting my mind take me back to that night instead, feeling the asphalt on my feet, cigarette smoke hanging in the air, while Sam stays on the line with me until the police arrive. It doesn't seem possible that the phone booth has always been there. Sam had done some work and hacked down tree branches around it the day he was cleaning up the windows of the store. I really am an unobservant teenager. They found a man lying on the pavement in the front of the store. He was not a ghost. He'd had a heart attack, possible from high stress or a fright. He was suspected of several arsons up and down the coast, and had been living in the woods to evade capture. He'd been watching me for months from across the road. I was probably really lucky that my intuition told me to run and hide, and not open the door. Which freaks me out, but it isn't that surprising. One of the problems with being a seer is that I am also seen, even by people who aren't dead. I'm starting to think it might be why I've always been so popular. Certainly not of my own accord, and I don't know how to feel about that. But I'll think about it later. The Volvo is nowhere to be seen, but I found a beat-up old cassette tape lying on the sidewalk. Whitney Houston. That weekend, my door knocks while I lounge one morning. I've been crying for no real reason I can tell you right now, listener, but I get up and I open the door to find my older coworker, Lorraine, standing there. Her wife stands a little bit behind her. They both smile at me, and it's an odd smile, the kind you give a little frightened animal when you're trying to calm it down. Eddie and I are going up to Seattle, Lorraine tells me, and I look past them and see their truck parked a little ways off. The windows have splashes of bright color painted across them. We thought maybe we'd see if you wanted to come. I blink at them for a moment and suddenly know what they're asking. And I hesitate, looking between them. I'm not. My mouth is dry. This is not a conversation I've ever had at the gas co. Out, I say. I'm not out. Unconsciously, I'm covering my chest with crossed arms. They look at each other. You don't want anyone to know about you, Lorraine asks, and it's not accusing, it's gentle. Asking, so they know to keep my secrets. And I shake my head. I just don't think I belong there. I mean, yet. And I force a smile and spread my hands. I mean, I guess I'm some sort of out, like, obviously, but I don't know what that means. I don't know who I am yet. I laugh, but it sounds like a sob. Betty looks at me and says softly, reaching out and tugging a lock of my fringe, "You're Carol." And I blink and I stare at her, and her smile is really soft, and she is beautiful in a way you don't expect. Long black hair tied back in a braid down her back, smooth planes of face chiseled from stone. She's wearing a t-shirt with the sleeves cut off, with a farmer's tan, and combat boots with rainbow laces, and I think about how we've never formally met, but she sends me packaged dinners whenever she cooks for some reason. And I look at rail-thin Lorraine beside her with her flowery dresses and her fairy hair and ringlets, all smile lines, freckles, and crow's feet. Lorraine, who I've never had more than a 14-word conversation with, who presses Tupperware into my hands or leaves them in the employee fridge with hearts and flowers drawn on them. And I think about how I'm not out. I've never said a word, but they know. They recognize me because maybe they see themselves when they look at me. I've never been, I say. Even better to go with family then, Lorraine replies with a grin, and she reaches out a hand, and I look at it for a beat. Wait a second, I say, and I run inside, and I grab the faded scrap of fabric that I've pinned to my bulletin board. He brought it back the last time he went, and gave it to me in the safety of his attic bedroom. I stuff it in the pocket of the battle jacket that has a worn and faded rainbow stitched on the upper arm, and I take their waiting hands, sandwiched in love like a toddler, and step into the sun. And together, we head to Seattle to meet the rest of my family for the first time. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Mil-Liminal. Be sure to follow social media or subscribe for updates. Want to know more now? This podcast is actually based on a webcomic. You can read it right now for free on Tapas or Webtoon. Just search for Mil-Liminal, a horror romance about me, Caro, my podcast, and my desperate attempt to win a grouchy barista's heart. Or look for Seemingly Dark, a long-running supernatural comic full of ghosts, mysteries, and of course, I'm there too. Follow the creator, Raptor Jules, on Instagram or Blue Sky, or follow Seemingly Dark or Mil-Liminal on Tumblr for art and stuff. You can even send me questions. Logo and music design is by Snake Pixel on Blue Sky. A special shout out and a thanks to my Patreons, and hopefully I'll see you soon.